Sometimes people have really bad experiences, and now that they want to move forward, they do not want to experience the same thing. This seller reached out to us and said, "Hey, we had some really bad experiences. The house didn't sell. We'd like to hire you, but we don't want to go on the MLS. We don't want to go live. And we feel really bad about signing a contract because last time we were locked into it and we were held hostage." It's a difficult situation to navigate because you haven't started working with them yet. There is not a huge foundation of trust, and they have had a horrible experience previously. This training will help you get them where you need them to be so you can get the listing and make sure that they have a phenomenal experience while selling the home for the most amount of money. People will ask me is, Josh, what if I'm not in that space? What if I'm not in that mindset? How do you get yourself into that mindset? And I'll be very transparent with you. I was talking to Surreal about this. I struggle with this regularly. It's not something that I'm just immune to, that because of the way my content looks or because of the way my conversations look, that it's just naturally for me. In fact, it's something that frustrates me because I have to work at it. And I share that vulnerability with people of letting them know, like, I don't have some sort of magical gift where I'm just on all the time. In fact, it's one of my biggest challenges that I have to work towards. So there's a couple tricks that you can use. There are a ton of inspirational and motivational people out there that build content all about just getting it done, right? There's a whole audience, a whole voice out there, a whole segment of voices out there that are like, no pain, no gain, just go get it done. For me, sometimes I need to listen to David Goggins, where he talks about, like, don't be a baby, just go do it. Sometimes I need to listen to a Grant Cardone that's all about, like, hey, just 10x the energy, just put in more energy, just put in more work. I need to use those people around me to get me motivated or get me going. I'm working towards being more like that in the appropriate time and being Zen-like and all that good stuff. And these are some of the tricks that help. Journaling and gratitude, right? What you're grateful for. If you're feeling like you don't want to do something, reframe the language. Okay, you don't have to do it. You're choosing to do it. The reason why you want to do these things that you're showing up to these calls, you're practicing on skill sets, you're getting rejected at higher rates, you're putting yourself all through this, not because you have to. You have a choice. You could choose not to do it. You're choosing to do it because you know it'll lead you to more freedom, more wealth, more options. There was this comment in the Take 52 Vulcan group that said, I'm feeling defeated about cold calling and canceling expireds, and I'm feeling defeated. There were a lot of people in there that were like, just shut up and do it and blah, 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 blah. My message was always, yeah, it's part of the journey. There's some days I get my ass kicked. There's some days I win big and we set 3 listing appointments worth $50,000 in commissions. And there's some days where you just feel on top of the world. And there's some days where you didn't really move the bar forward that much based on regular metrics. And you just say, hey, tomorrow will be better. But the freedom you get from being in a position to wake up focused on accomplishing something this week in sales and focusing on the skill sets to get there is incredible. Incredible. I mean, if people were to ask me, what's the number one thing that I had that allowed me to sell the homes the way I did and start my career the way I did, is like, I had phone skills, good phone skills, because I had already been doing it for like 8 years. I'd already gone through all that. Right. So if you're not waking up, if you're not taking time on Sunday to say, what do I want to accomplish today? That's okay, because there's a lot, or this week, I do it too. And you just have to relentlessly put that foot forward of like, no, I want to do this. I'm going to do this. All right, I didn't do so well this week. I didn't do so well this day, but I'm going to restate it. And then when you show up, what you'll find is the more you can get yourself in alignment with that focus on that number, or that I'm going to go take clients this week. I'm going to go find people that are motivated and qualified. I want to work with people that love, respect, and trust me. The more you can get into that zone, the more you'll have better days, right? Because what we focus on expands, bold shout out. And if we're intentional about stuff, what we measure grows, right? And so that's one of those things where, and by the way, the next level is when you're doing that so much that it just tires you out and you don't want to do it again, right? Because you get into this rhythm where then you can't turn it off. And then the next part of the journey begins. All right, now I know how to tap into it. Now I know how to work it. Now I know how to really get this machine cruising. Now I've got to learn how to turn it off so I can go hang out here and then come back and restart it. And that part is a refinement and a process as well. But make no mistake about it, in my opinion, based on, even though it's a love-hate relationship sometimes, make no mistake about it, sales is one of the greatest industries you could ever be a part of. And real estate is number one or number two, depending on who you're talking to. The goal is worthy, the reward is vast. And of course it's a challenge because it's truly, there is no ceiling to it. The only ceiling to it is how good you can be. And your income is in direct correlation with your skill set and your ability to manage challenges. Happy Monday. I'm fired up. What do we got going on for transactions? Who's in escrow? Who's trying to put a deal in escrow? What do we have to where we can make our lives easier, bulletproof our transactions, and get to the finish line in a more efficient way?
I just got a call. Tell me how you feel about this. I just got a call with the guy. He's been, I've been on the fence with him. I had a listing appointment with him. He called me back and he said, "Hey, Nate, enjoyed the appointment." It was this dude in La Jolla. He was like, "Enjoyed the appointment. We want you to list the property, but we don't want to go online. We want it to be off market. We want 850. You can come and take photos. You could show it. But my wife feels weird about signing a formal listing agreement. Can we do like an email stating your terms? And then when you find a buyer, we'll sign the agreement." What would you do?
Well, first I would have a moment to myself before I responded so I could make a few jokes about all the holes in the plan and why it won't work for us in any fashion.
Okay.
And then after I got done just venting a little bit for a second, I'd get right back to, all right, so formula, right?
Yeah.
This is in text, right?
No, he called me.
All right, he called you.
Yeah.
All right. So if we were having that conversation, why don't we role play that conversation? You want to do that?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, you're gonna be him and I'm gonna be you.
Okay.
Ring.
All right.
Hey, this is Nate. How can I help you?
Hey, Nate, Raymond. I was calling, me and my wife, we were discussing the proposal you sent over, and it looks good, but I don't think we want to sign any type of formal agreement on this one. But I think, we could definitely hold it open for you to allow showings, and you could get photos and everything along those sorts. It's not exactly how it went, but I'm just paraphrasing.
Okay. Hey, that's awesome. So you guys really, really saw the value in the things that I brought to the table, and you guys are willing to take our relationship to the next level.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Oh man, thank you so much for that. I really appreciate that. Couple questions for you, because obviously my goal is to always help you get the most amount of money with the least amount of stress on your perfect timeline. So you mentioned that you want me to start advertising the property, or you want me to start, but you said you don't want to go online, or you said you don't want a formal agreement. What does that mean exactly?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I don't want to go, I don't want to be advertised necessarily on the MLS right now. We just had a bad experience with the last agent, and there's a lot of people coming through at that time, and it wasn't really, organized. And then I don't want to, he said something about it being legally binding for the contract. Like,
hey, real quick, I'm going to pause you right here for everybody listening. So I've now asked the question of like, oh, so what does that mean, right? Because like I want to be very, very clear on it. Now, I've got him talking. So I'm not going to handle this first one. I'm in like almost like order taker mode, where I'm just like asking questions to make sure. And I'm going to continue to bring them out and layer them, so I gather everything together and bundle it all together, so that if I get a yes, all the problems go away at the same time. Not, hey, is this a good enough answer? Yes. Will you sign? No. There's one more problem. Okay, well, I'll fix that problem. Is that done? No. There's one more problem. Like, it's not good from a fundamental standpoint. So I asked, seeking to understand, and he said, bad experience with the agent. Keep going.
Yeah, bad experience with the last agent. People were kind of showing up all the time. My wife doesn't really want to sign a legally binding binding contract, just because of the way it went last time. So we more or less along the lines of, you need 850. I'll allow you to do photography. I'll allow you to show the property. And but we just kind of wanted to keep this one a little bit more private.
Well, I really appreciate you giving me some of this insight, because I strive to do a customized solution for every single client. In fact, that's one of the best things that my clients love about me, is that every experience is tailored to the individual prospect. You mentioned a couple things that were interesting to me. You said you don't want to sign a legally binding agreement because of the last relationship. How did the contract actually ruin the relationship and put you guys further away from accomplishing your goals?
Well, I mean, he didn't get it done, and it just kind of took a while. We got a bunch of phone calls once it came off the market online, and it just was.
Did you try to get out of that contract, or did you feel like you wanted out of that contract?
Yeah, I fired him. I fired him, and then I think we were still in a contract for a little bit after that.
Got you. And it sounds like there was some frustration there, where he didn't do his job according to your expectations. You did not get the results anywhere near what you wanted. And then when you went to hold him accountable, allowing yourself to have some flexibility to do what you wanted, it seems like there was some anxiety there, some pressure there, some stress there, and you want to completely avoid all of that.
Yes.
I mean, that makes complete sense on why you would say that. Now, you mentioned real quick, you mentioned that the showings and this stuff that didn't go very well. Why do you not want it online?
It just just kind of online, and that's maybe the question I need to ask him, but it's from what it seemed like to me, people were just kind of showing up. That's what he told me before. People were just kind of showing up because the agent listed the property as vacant. And I told him this in the listing agreement. In the listing presentation.
Yep, stay with us. Just keep
going.
I
know. Okay, but yeah, so I think people are just showing up. I want to make sure that we just get it to the right people that's going to end up buying the home versus just having a bunch of random looky-loos coming in and seeing the property.
Did you feel like you didn't have any control over the process?
Yeah, not too much, I guess. No.
It felt like that you didn't have a lot of time. Things were just coming at you. The people that were coming into the property weren't the ones that you wanted. And so what you're talking about is the way that the advertising and the showings and everything was structured was really uncomfortable for you. And so you're thinking in your head that if you can get rid of that part and you can have the flexibility to keep people accountable without all that tension and anxiety, that's really what you're trying to say to me right now.
Yes.
Gotcha. Is there any other reason, is there any other reason outside of the inconvenience of all the showings, the lack of control, the trust that was shattered, the lack of accountability, and just the constant intrusion of your life? Was there anything else that you guys felt was on the agenda for the topic of the conversation?
No, nothing along those lines besides what you just mentioned. I think it was just mainly, it was just interrupting our lives. The agent did seem too professional in the way they were kind of handling things, and there were some issues with like the lockbox and a couple of things.
Yep. So here's what I'd recommend. This is exactly why we should speak. So here's what I'd recommend, because you have a couple things that you're willing to let me do, and I have a couple questions for you as well as your wife on how to structure this so it's just perfect. Because no matter what we agree to, I want to make sure that you're comfortable, and that way it allows me to go out and get the best buyer at the best time. When are you guys available to have a conversation around your expectations moving forward?
Okay. And it's set. Okay.
And set the appointment, right? And then when we go in, like when you have this, right?
Yeah.
One, you don't have both decision makers. So if you start talking to him and he goes, yeah, that's cool. And then he goes to her and says these types of things, and then she falls out.
Yeah.
You're going to lose that one every time. And then you're back in the same scenario. So if you've got this situation where they're like, yeah, we'll work with you, but we don't want to put it online. We don't want to sign a contract. That doesn't work for you.
Yeah, not really. No. I told him, and I went wrong the route of, like legally, like,
yeah, but again, like, forget legally. Like,
yeah,
I don't care if it works for you or not. Like, if I have I don't care if I'm Like if an attorney is like, no, you can legally do it, that's fine, Josh. I still wouldn't do it.
Yeah, well, I was saying I was on the other end of that. Like I was saying, like legally, like I want to be protected. So that's the reason why, I don't feel I kind of use the as much as uncomfortable it makes you, it makes me a little bit
Yeah,
more
wrong situation here though,
Yeah,
because
maybe.
he's talking about all of he's trying to protect himself from all these bad things that happen, and you don't want to be in the moment talking about, well, you need protection, I need protection.
Yeah, that's true.
I need protection because what if
So
you're a
so you
bad person,
recommend
right? What if somebody
you
else is a bad person and attacks me? I need protection. And I don't think a listing agreement actually gives you a lot of protection from that kind of stuff anyway.
Mhm.
Because what he is talking about is actually exists. It's an open listing agreement. There is
Yeah.
a listing agreement that has been written for this exact single situation. So, which I still don't want to sign, because then I got to pay for, okay, who's going to pay for photography? Who's going to go through that? What you
Yeah.
want to do with people like this is you want to get them into it. You want to understand exactly, the formula is easy. You want to understand exactly what's holding them back and why it's holding them back.
Yeah.
Seeking. You want to restate what in their words or yours. That's more powerful if you use theirs. You want to restate in their words on why that's important to them.
Yeah.
You want to get as many as you can. You want to clarify at the very end, is there anything else that's holding you back?
Mhm. Yeah.
Well, it was also your commission. Okay, great. So it's A, it's B, it's C, and it's also commission. Again, is there anything holding you back?
Yeah.
Okay, so great. So there's other than commission, other than this, 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 we're 100% good.
Yeah.
Isolate it all out. Yep. Then as long as you have the both decision makers there, you say, well, let's talk about that. And then what I would say to these people is, let's talk about that. One, you want the most amount of money. Do you not?
Yes.
You want this to benefit you as best as possible. So if you take a strategy, which when you say, I don't want it online, where are all the buyers?
Online.
They're all online.
Yeah.
I have a buyer. I have a second buyer. I have a third buyer. At most, I have 4 buyers at any given time for the entire county. Now, I can spend my time calling agents going, you got a buyer, you got a buyer, you got a buyer, you got a buyer, you got a buyer.
Yeah.
I can do that. But what you're really trying to do is you're trying to throw darts at a dartboard blindfolded.
Mm-hmm.
On the flip side, if we were, let's just assume for a second that you knew for an absolute fact that there was no way they could get into this property at all. They didn't even know it was available for showings. They had to call and double and triple and check and get all kinds of different confirmations. If you knew for a fact your life would be completely protected and you would never, ever, ever have to deal with an intrusion, if you knew for a fact that was going to be the case, and it meant you were going to get $30, $40, $50, $60,000 more, wouldn't you be more interested in that strategy?
Yeah. And I think for me, I think I need to uncover a little bit, like you're saying, I need to uncover a little bit more why the apprehension's there. I'm kind of basing it on what he told me previously. I mean, the conversation was somewhat brief. Like he kind of called me and was like, hey, want to see, because I wrote him a proposal and he's like, so did you put on the market yet? Or did you already like get some interest on it? And I was like, no, you haven't agreed to the proposal yet. He's like, oh, well, I really like the proposal and all this stuff. So we kind of went down that route. But and we talked to him about like, just kind of what he's expecting. I even asked him, what are some extra things that he wants out of an agent? That's some stuff we didn't cover. And the main thing he was just saying, like, he just wants his price. And he just doesn't, like we were saying, he doesn't want to be kind of bothered with like, showings or anything. And I even told him, I was like, I can do like an open house. I'll be the only person with the key. Open it up. I'll lock it up. I'll provide you with feedback. No one else will get in.
You can say all those things.
Yeah.
And all those things are right.
Yeah.
But you still have somebody that isn't convinced that they don't trust that process.
Yeah.
So, you can put on there that it's by appointment only. You can put on there that they have to call you for a confirmation. You can put you can put a code on the Sentry lock box. It's a CVS code that they can't even get in unless they get it from you. Mm-hmm. You can do all of that stuff. But if you're not following that format of bringing them out and getting them into that position and getting the buy-in, then what's going to happen is you're going to throw surface level on an internal pane, level solution on an internal pane.
So I mean, going back to what you would recommend, we need to get the decision makers, both of them together. When you have another listing appointment or some type of appointment, right? And uncover that pain.
Yeah. And then will you cover the solution and say, listen, so I got the buy-in from, hey, if there was a different strategy that would get you 40, 50, $60,000 more money in the end result, would you be interested in that? Yeah, I would be interested in that. Great. So really there's a couple, when it all boils down to, it's two things. One, the last agent did a horrible job. He did not care about your time. He let people come in. He did not protect your showings. And that was just a horrible experience. Just such a nightmare for you guys that you never want to experience that again. And two, after you guys had gone through this horrible experience, he actually did not let you out of the contract as easily as you would have liked. So
Yes.
the fact of the matter is that selling a home like you've experienced, that guy only deserved a minimal contract. That guy didn't deserve a contract. And what you're proposing now, that should have been good enough for him because he didn't really work at it.
All right.
He didn't really work at it. Okay.
Yeah.
So what the process is, and you have to go into the process. You have to go into the process of you're at this point, you're making decisions that aren't going to be good. I mean, listen, I don't even really want a listing agreement that I can't put on the MLS.
Yeah, it's true.
Like you want me to sell a home, but you want to take away the number one tool I have to get my job done.
Yeah.
And now you want to turn me into a phone salesman for listings when everybody is online.
It's true. And it's like a La Jolla listing. I mean, it's pretty exclusive too. So it's like, why?
Yep. So it goes back again. You got to seek to, the formula is the same. How you get there is different based on the individual needs of the client, but it's gather all the details, seek to understand, clarify that that's all it is. Get buy-in from both decision makers that if you can provide a solution that solves their problem and helps you get your job done more efficiently, then everybody's winning, and that's the way to go forward. Let's do the right thing. Here's the solution, and here's the, at the end of the day, say, hey, I'm going to put it in my clause. I'm going to put it in my contract that you can fire me at any given time. So if all of a sudden you're getting 3-4 showing requests and they're out of the blue and nobody's respecting your time, then you can fire me.
Yeah.
If for some reason your time is being wasted and you start having a horrible experience, you can fire me. So I will solve all your problems contractually. And by the way, if you call me and fire me because of that, I'll say thank you for the opportunity. That's it. Now you have to decide whether or not it's going to be priced to sell it in the right way. You have to decide as a business whether you want to take that client on